bored here, so I thought I'd go over some of my collection of toys that I have here with me at school. The first here is a cold steel waster made of plastic. It's not really a real sword. It's lighter, about 1.5 pounds I think it is. Badly balanced, like the point of balance is like way out here or something. But it's a safety thing, so you can practice safely without cutting open your friend's lip. Or wait, actually, it turns out if you scrape it on concrete, you can produce a bit of a jagged edge on the tip, and cut open your friend's lip and end up taking him to the emergency room to get stitches. So we now use sparring masks. We were stupid to do it in the first place, I suppose, but we're young, so stupid goes with the territory. Our next sword here is it's a blunt practice sword, of course. See, the tip is blunt, and it is a Hanwi practical bastard sword, which is kind of strange when you think about the actual term. Bastard sword or hand-in-half sword is referring to, it's an old Victorian era term, and it refers to a sword that is you can put 1.5 hands on there, so you can use it one-handedly or two-handedly as circumstances dictate. As you can see, yeah, not exactly one hand-and-a-half sword by any stretch of the imagination. It's more a long sword, which a long sword, contrary to what the Dungeons & Dragons Master's Manual will tell you, a long sword is a two-handed sword. It is not just a sword with a long blade. But, contrary to popular belief, role-playing games do not accurately depict reality. And this one here is the slightly more historical Hanwi Tinker Pierce. It is a Hanwi Tinker Pierce practical longsword. This one is special because you can take off the end with an Allen wrench and replace it with a sharp blade I have if you want to do cutting instead of the more safety-oriented practical part. Let me see. Actually, something I forgot to mention. This one is about 2.5 pounds. I think 2 pounds 6 ounces when I measured. No, heavier than that, I think. Last I measured, I don't have a scale with me, which is quite reasonable in weight for historical swords. This one is actually the biggest and heaviest I own at 3 pounds 11 ounces. I forgot I was going to go back over this. I modified the grip, so this wire wrap was not on there originally. The sword would actually be, I think, more of a 14th century sword, and the wire wrap would be more 15th century, I think, but whatever. I thought it would look cool, be nice, so I did it anyway. Onward. This here is a windlass, so a windlass Museum Replicas Limited item, which is strange because here I am at school and the majority of my collection here is Hanwi, and then if you go back home with my other collection, it's all windlass. So it is. This is their 16th century mace. I stripped the paint off. You can still see that there's some on there. Can't really get in there because the paint, the black paint all over the thing is really not historical. Did I say it was their 16th century German mace? And I think it looks more 15th century, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not an expert, but then again, neither is windlass. I pulled the leather grip off because it was too slippery, but it left me with kind of a puzzle that I'm not sure how to solve, because this is about the right thickness, I think, for use, but it's just painted metal, and I wanted to put a wire wrap over it, at which point then it would be too thick. So I'm still not sure what to do with it at this point. But moving on. This is Hanwee's, use my right hand because it is actually sighted. Hanwee's bone-handled swept hilt rapier. And not much to say about it really. I've got the sharp blade on there, but like the Tinker Pierce, the pommel can be unscrewed and you can replace it with a practical one. I bought it kind of because I think it's pretty for a sword. What was I going to say here? I'm not really practicing any of the techniques with it. I'm more about the long sword, so expensive jewelry, I guess. Yeah, all these swords here were in the range of like 100. There. Not this. This is like 25 bucks or something. I forget. The mace is like 80 bucks, but I got it on sale. But yeah, all these swords are like in the range of like 150 to $200 a piece. They're high carbon tempered steel, not stainless steel junk like you can find in any cheap Renaissance fair styled shop. So, where was I going? This one's actually, I think this one, now that I think about it, is the 2-pound 6-ouncer, which is slightly lighter than this one. So, yeah, there's the misconception that knightly swords and things were all 20 pounds and ridiculously heavy and whatnot, and 3 pounds 11 ounces. It's the heaviest I own. And the other myth is that the rapier was a much lighter than the earlier swords, and the truth is it isn't. But yeah, about the heaviest sword I would think that we'd ever find on a battlefield would be like 10 pounds. Most of the long swords were at the high end 4 or 5 pounds. But I've heard there's claymores. In this case, not the actual claymore, which is a basket hilt, but the claymore that everyone thinks of when you say claymore, the big honking thing from Braveheart. Those style things, I think, averaged around 8 pounds. But you wouldn't want anything over 10 pounds anyway, because it would be impractical to use in a real fight. Yeah, I think I'm about finished here. This is just part of my collection. So I've got another sword that I'm working on, Hanwee War Sword, the hand and a half, that I took apart and I'm going to try and make into a single-hander, and a little sax or Norse knife that I'm working on, but these are the functional ones I have right now.